absolutely. I'm sure most employers would agree that employee expense is one of the largest expenses that an employer has to deal with, whether it comes to paid time off, benefits, square footage in a building, and coffee and paper for them to use, all of the sorts of things that the company has to pay for. There are a lot of costs associated with bringing on an employee. An employer should recognize that the same thing that they're asking of an employee in their company can be outsourced to a virtual assistant, because that virtual assistant can handle the exact same responsibilities that that in-person assistant can do, but they're virtual, they're remote, they're working from home. So they don't have to, and typically they're contractors. That's how I work with clients, is as a contractor.
Hello, Empower Nation. Welcome to Empower Her Money podcast. I'm your host, Angela Duncan, and we talk all things money and business. Today's episode is sponsored by Podcast Money Magnet. If you DM me podcast, I'm going to provide you with their free ultimate podcast launch checklist. So don't forget to DM me podcast, and I'll make sure that checklist gets over to you to help you launch your own podcast. On today's episode, I get to interview Renee Hastings with Executive Help Now, and she is going to share some secrets on how you can scale and expand your business through this one key hire. Hi, Renee. Welcome to Empower Her Money podcast. How are you today?
I'm well, thanks. How are you, Angela?
I'm doing amazing. I would love to start off with a fun question. If you could have a superpower, what would it be and why?
My superpower, I think, would be that I would have a magic wand that I could just wave and automatically match the client to the perfect VA that they've been looking for.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, before we dive into what you do, why don't you share your story, your background, and kind of how you got to what you're doing today?
So a little bit about me. I actually started my virtual assistant service back in 2015. But of course, as you know, where we end up has a history. And the things that we've been through in our lives kind of set us up and prepare us for where we are today. So I'm proud to say that I am the granddaughter of sharecroppers who moved from the South to a very rural area of Wisconsin. It was Amish community. We were the only Black family in the community. We were poor, but our grandfather really instilled in us the value of hard work and the importance of standing up for your family and living up to your family name and expectation of excellence. So as I grew up, I was the daughter of a single mom, ended up being a single teen mom myself, and ended up, on Section 8 welfare, that sort of thing. But I always had that drive and determination to be more, to do more, and to help others. So that's kind of how it all started, is with the Summer Youth Employment Program in Madison, Wisconsin, that set us up with, as children, with opportunities to work in real life opportunities and companies, doing real life things, getting real life experience in the actual workplace from like 12 years old. So from 12, I was exposed to all of these different opportunities. And by the end of I think I participated in that program 2 or 3 years. And by the end of that third year, I made a decision that I was going to one day either own my own business or run my own office. And so that's where I dedicated my time and efforts, taking business classes, doing DECA for marketing, and the whole 4-H, even because we were a rural family. Just getting knowledge and exposure and comfort with talking to people and selling things and learning business language and that sort of thing. So my career has been as an executive assistant, eventually, starting out as a clerical assistant, and then an administrative assistant, and then an executive assistant, and then an executive assistant to the C-suite. And so by the time I got to that point, I was like, I can do this on my own and get my own executives and support them. And that started in 2015. It's grown, and now I have a team of virtual assistants that work with me that I get to assign to clients and make that perfect match.
And I love that language you just used. I get to assign. So it's like having the, almost like your superpower, right? You're taking the right assistant and pairing them with the right company so that it's a good match. So let's dive right into the virtual assistant world. I would love to know more about, talk about the value of outsourcing work as a business owner, talk about what kind of value that is that your company can provide.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure most employers would agree that employee expense is one of the largest expenses that an employer has to deal with, whether it comes to paid time off, benefits, square footage in a building, and coffee and paper for them to use, all of the sorts of things that the company has to pay for. There are a lot of costs associated with bringing on an employee. An employer should recognize that the same thing that they're asking of an employee in their company can be outsourced to a virtual assistant, because that virtual assistant can handle the exact same responsibilities that that in-person assistant can do, but they're virtual, they're remote, they're working from home. So they don't have to, and typically they're contractors. That's how I work with clients, is as a contractor. And so they don't have to pay me benefits. They don't have to pay for my insurance or pay time off or anything like that, because it's a contract to employer, contractor to employer type relationship, and it saves money. And then not only does it save them money, of course, they get their dedicated virtual assistant who learns them, who partners with them, who helps them kind of see things from another perspective, things that they can take into consideration to help them while they're in their sweet spot of being able to strategize and build for the company, because they're no longer having to deal with the routine day-to-day type things that someone else should be dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely. So you kind of touched on it a little bit, but talk about the productivity side too of hiring a virtual assistant.
Yes, absolutely. So there are certain things that, as the business owner or as the executive over a team, um, you're just, you're kind of paid on a higher level to handle the higher level things, right? And so when you find yourself checking your own email, scheduling your own meetings, trying to get with people who are so hard to get with because, they're just busy like you are, right? As an employer, though, that type of activity, that kind of running on this hamster wheel of trying to make it all happen, is something that someone else could more effectively do, who has more expertise in doing those things. They could take that off of your plate so that you can focus on the more high level activities of the business that only you can do as the owner or as the executive over the team. So it
Yeah.
increases your productivity because you're not spending your time doing the things that you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah. And so that probably leads right into scaling your business through having virtual assistants. How does a business owner scale their business when they're hiring virtual assistants?
Well, and that's another great thing too. We actually had a client who said to us, I really want to grow. I want to scale my business, but I can't because it's just me. But once I brought you on and I started delegating things to you, I was able then to now hire someone, to do the things that I was doing and build my business, because I was able to train you on what to do, how I do what I do, basically multiplying myself. And so
Mhm.
he was able to scale his business. And he just sends us notes and even has a testimonial on our website of just how grateful he is for our partnership and the change that it's made in his business. So that's building your team of virtual assistants, through Executive Help Now, or, however you decide to do that. That is a key way to help basically duplicate or multiply yourself so that you can scale and grow. Because what got you where you are today isn't going to work to get you to that next level.
Yeah, and I like how you touched on multiple because, not just hiring one virtual assistant, but you could essentially scale and grow your team by multiple assistants doing different tasks in their own expertise as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And our team is like that. So we are all executive assistants, but we have different specialties in different areas, whether it's graphic design, bookkeeping, social media management and engagement, video podcast production, the whole nine. So whatever specialty that is, let us know and we'll see, if there's someone on the team who could fit that bill.
Yeah. And I think as business owners too, they have to think about, when they hire a virtual assistant, it's not an expense to the company, it's investing. So I know that that's something that you guys talk about as well. So share your knowledge on investing in a virtual assistant.
Right. And that's exactly what it is. It is an investment because it's not just a one time, not typically just a one time project that we work on. We are with you for the long haul. We are in it with you, the good, the bad, the ugly. It doesn't matter. We are here to partner with you, to help you get through it, to take those things off your plate that are keeping you from being able to, trudge forward and make the progress that you want to make. And it is an investment because it is it's a routine. It's like almost like how you pay your cable bill. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things that every single month, you're going to be watching television, you need to pay the cable bill. Every month, you're going to be working your business or doing a job, you need to pay your virtual assistant. It's the same type of investment. Of course, with television, you get one personal benefit out of it. With a virtual assistant, you also get the added relief of knowing that because you don't have to work so many long hours, now you can be home with your family. Now you can go and catch more of your child's football games or basketball games or soccer games or whatever type of things that they do, or more of your child's recitals. You can go do more of those things that are more lasting and impactful because you're not working so hard because you've
Yeah.
invested in a virtual assistant.
Yeah. And I think sometimes as Americans, we tend to think like we are the smartest people in the world, but talk about the expertise behind your virtual assistants as well, because I'm sure that they're educated. I'm sure, there's lots of great value that they bring, but we just have to get over that limiting belief that we're the only smart people.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. And I heard it said that if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to change rooms. So our virtual assistants are very educated, very knowledgeable, have years of expertise and experience doing the things that they do. We have people on a team with MBAs. We have multiple MBAs on our team, and they specialize in business operations, finance, and just all the things that are required. So it's not just like the small things that they can help you with, but actually helping you think through and strategizing, even being a partner in that way, that they can bring and add value to the team as an extension of the team.
Yeah, I think for me, I live in Miami. And so seeing such a diverse culture and how intelligent so many people, they bring to the table has really opened my eyes to that too. So business owners need to understand that, some of the best ideas are going to come outside of our country because they just have a different way of thinking and different way of seeing things. And to bring that knowledge to your team is just going to help your business grow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this book I think it's called Six Thinking Hats or something like that. But basically, one of the exercises that you do when you're going through that professional development program is to learn how to understand other people's perspectives. And so one of the things that they do is they give you a picture of a house, or they break up in groups, like three or four groups. And each group gets a different image of the same house. So someone gets the front door, someone gets the back, someone gets the side, and someone gets the other side. And they come back together and they all talk about what's on their paper. Now, everyone knows that everyone got a piece of paper, but they don't know is that everyone got a different side of the house. And so when people are what they're seeing, they're looking at their paper, they're like, wait, that's not what's on this. That's not what I see. But then they all turn them around at the end and they see that it's all the same house, just from a different perspective. That's the same way we add value as we add people to our teams from different locations with different backgrounds, with different frames of reference. They all add so much value.
Yeah, that's such a great perspective, and making that visual, really hits on that point. So awesome. So Renee, if our audience wants to get in touch with you, learn more about your services, what's the best way for them to reach you?
The best way to reach me is on our website, and they can reach us at www.executivehelpnow.org. If they happen to make a mistake and put executivehelpnow.com, that'll work too. But executivehelpnow.org is our website. We're also on all the socials at Executive Help Now or Exec Help Now on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. We can be found in all the places.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today.
All right, my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Angela.
Thank you so much for tuning into Empower Her Money podcast. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to subscribe, share this podcast, and leave a review wherever you are tuning in.